Anything that I make in 3D is all about iteration. What I mean by that is obviously the more time you spend on something, the more layers you put into something, the better it's going to look in the end. For this roller coaster car, things started with a very basic shape, just a cube. And I'm slowly iterating on top of that, moving around the vertices, extruding to create new faces, adding loop cuts, just paying attention to the overall silhouette and the shape of things. I've added a subdivision surface modifier, which takes each face and divides it into multiple faces so that you can get smooth curves. That's how I got this curved shape for this. And obviously I'm not going to get into every little detail, what I'm doing with the model here, but the big picture is just to pay attention to your reference and iterate, spend time on it. Now, the more practiced you get, obviously the less time you need to spend and the less iteration you need to make until you get to where you're going. You have fewer missteps along the way. I'm not perfect with modeling, of course. I have a long ways to go. This is practice like anybody else, but I'm just focusing on making one step at a time, small changes until I'm happy with the shape, and I can move on to the UV unwrapping process, which happens before the texturing. So I'm just adding seams to the model and unwrapping so that we could take this 3D shape and lay it out basically on a 2D surface so we could start applying the textures. For the textures, it's also all about layering and iterations. I'm starting with very basic colors, very basic PBR texture sets. For the car itself, I have just a simple gradient going from red to orange. The seat, I have a basic leather. And for that little lap bar, I have just a noise texture going into a bump. And now I'm starting to add a second layer. So often I'll start with edge detail or edge variation, and I'll continue to layer in other procedural and photo texture elements. So I might add variation to the roughness or to the metal's roughness or the metallic channel, and just continuing to add on those layers until I get to a point eventually where I feel like there's enough variety that things are interesting and looking good for the asset as a whole. When I get to that point, of course, I could do a little render, a little turntable, and we'll call this one good for now.